Welcome to History Class with Dr. W. and our course on the United States and the Cold War. The Cold War was an all-encompassing conflict between the United States and the Soviet Union, lasting from roughly 1945 to 1991. As we look back on the Cold War with the benefit of over 30 years of hindsight, it is clear that the legacies of the Cold War still hover over us. Most pointedly, there is talk of a new Cold War, as the former KGB agent Vladimir Putin has revived an atmosphere of fear, intimidation, and rivalry that had dissipated after the fall of the Berlin Wall and the dismantling of the Soviet Union in the early 1990s. Fear of nuclear weapons again presents a global problem, and the United States once again confronts challengers to its primacy as the world's greatest superpower. At the same time, the Cold War exists as a distinct period in time, one with clearer beginnings and endings than most historical periods. It was a time of fear and dread, when concerns about the possible outbreak of World War III, spies in our midst, and anxieties about the end of the world permeated our day-to-day lives. And yet, miraculously, neither the Soviets nor the Americans launched their nukes. Neither started World War III, and somehow the human race survived this intense standoff to carry on its existence. The Cold War impacted every imaginable corner of life in America. As we will discuss, while we think of the Cold War as primarily a military, diplomatic, and economic rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union, the rivalry extended into the realms of science, the arts, culture, society, belief systems, and sports. Race, gender, ethnicity, and religion all influenced and were influenced by the rivalry. And it wasn't only a rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union. The clash pulled into its vortex nearly every nation in every corner of the globe, as most nations found it impossible to avoid being aligned with one superpower or the other. Those remaining neutral confronted their own challenges and issues, at times suffering the wrath of both superpowers. With that said, a study of the Cold War period of 1945 to 91 could in theory cover every happenstance in every country over the entire globe. Obviously, such a study would be impossible to achieve, and certainly impossible to address in one course. So let's establish a few parameters that you can expect as we proceed. This is primarily a U.S. history course, presented from the American point of view. While the Cold War was indeed a conflict that involved the entire world, this course will concentrate on the United States and its role. While I will of course discuss other nations, and in some cases delve into considerable depth on events in other nations, you should not expect a detailed global history from this course. Likewise, you should not expect a complete survey of the period in American history. The main theme will be the Cold War itself, the politics and diplomacy involved, and the lengthy shadow of Cold War issues on other aspects of American life. Events and issues such as the Civil Rights Movement or the women's movement are only addressed here insofar as they are impacted by the Cold War. I invite you to watch and listen to my many other courses to get a more thorough review of these and other issues. So this course will explore in great depth the Cold War and its implications in the United States, across a wide spectrum of topics, from military and political, to diplomatic and economic, to cultural and social. The Cold War touched virtually every aspect of American life. Among the major themes in the course are the ideological foundations of the Cold War on both sides, behaviors and mindsets of major leaders on both sides, especially American policymakers, opportunities gained and lost over the course of the Cold War, the significance of culture in waging the Cold War and in the eroding of barriers on both sides, The many different fronts of the Cold War: ideological, economic, cultural, military, and others. The creation of the United States military-industrial state. The end of the Cold War and its legacy and implications. So please enjoy this course on the Cold War. In our next lecture, the first of the course, I'll discuss the historiography of the Cold War, the various ways in which historians have approached the period over time. As we'll see, the Cold War has sparked intense debate among scholars on both sides, who at times look at the same documents, events, and people and reach dramatically different conclusions.